Seems I'm on a roll. I've decided to do another Halloween card. And I'm starting from scratch, which I always do. I always make my own cards. I have a ton of white paper, so I just measure my envelope, cut the paper just a wee bit smaller than the width of the envelope. And then I'll flip it around and make sure that it's not taller. Right there, I'm marking the fold of the card. So when I fold it, it'll still fit in the envelope. And then I'm marking off the end of the card. I'll get rid of that. And I'm using a paintbrush end in the groove of my cutter to see if that'll work. And it's not fabulous. If I'd have started with my little embossing tool, it would have done a lot better. But it still got the job done. And I made my overhang a little too long. I don't like them that long. So I gotta chop it off. There we go. And I like the little overhang so people can open them easier. Sometimes, through the mail, they get squished and whatever, and they lay really flat and they're hard to open. Here I've got my background paper. I've marked it so that it's skinnier than the front of the card. I always like that little frame there. I've marked off the top. And I always use my finger nails just to do the mark so I don't have to erase anything later. Reaching for some orange, deciding the layout of the orange, and opted for the full side view there. I've pulled out some scrap paper to see how this stamp is going to look. I've never used it before. Had it for years, but never used it. It holds ink really, really well, by the way. And now I'm debating, is it going to look good on the orange? So I'm searching for a scrap paper orange. And that's the second stamping, which doesn't look too bad, but I'm kind of iffy at this point, and I'm like, clean it off. We're going to try a white, which you'll see in a moment was a big fail. Okay, here's the white. I'm looking at it, touching it. It feels weird, doesn't look right, and that is why. It is a chalk ink that has dried out. I have not used my scrapbooking stuff in years, and so a lot of it's just sat in storage and on the shelf, getting all gross. So in the bin of trash it went, and clean everything off. My work surface is just a black poster board from the dollar store. And I want to wash that really good. Okay, we're back to the slate gray color. Ink it up super good. Make sure I've got it on there. And then the eyeballing for center. And I don't re-ink it on the end ones. I just do it as is. And I don't like to let my stamps sit. I clean them right after I use them. Because sometimes they don't clean up. And you can see I made a spill because I didn't move my work before cleaning. But that's okay, because we're going to stick some stickies on it. It's our double stick stuff. Really super sticky. And snip. We're going to peel and glitter. Now the glitter I'm using is just a cheap set from somewhere, who knows where. And let me tell you, it's not fabulous. You get what you paid for. When I go to rub it in, it's super, super, super fine. And it doesn't want to move. The lid doesn't want to come off either. But we will make it. Now I'm really pushing it into the tape because I don't want any tape showing. And I'm tapping. And let me tell you, it's not tapping off. It just is stuck to everything. And this reminds me, I should have had a dryer sheet. Dryer sheets, you rub your project with your dryer sheet and things don't like to stick. That's what I used to do back in the day though. I'm going to have to start getting back into it. But I cleaned it up. Voila. Here we go. Peeling some more tape. We get the fancier. I'm debating over that little jar. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to mess with that. I get the fancier, more expensive set. And pat it right in there. We don't want nothing coming off. And see, that just moves really easy. I can actually get it back mostly into the container. Flickety flick. And there we have it. Okay, I've grabbed a grayish pin and I'm just filling in parts of the pumpkin to add some dimension and give it a little bit of pop. It was just too flat sitting there. And I'm not drawing, I'm dotting. I'm doing the stipple effect. Every little mark I make, it's just a teeny little dot. Time to piece these parts together. My old trusty Hermafix double stick squares. Although, again, it's been years since I used it. They really didn't want to come out of the spinning wheel. Had a little bit of issues with them sticking and rolling back in on itself. It was kind of frustrating. And I'm looking at this going, it needs something. And I'm actually going through my rubber stamps at this point, trying to find something that will enhance it just a little bit more. And I've pulled out the first mark. And it's a series of pumpkins. that I'm going to stamp across the bottom just to give it a little more interest. Looks like I'm going to do the top shoe because the bottom just wasn't enough. And I realized I was stamping not on scrap paper, but the envelope. So I made a boo-boo. I'll just erase it and send it through the mail. It's just first mark. Nobody will know. And I'm using the heat gun, even though I'm not embossing it or anything. I like to use the heat gun to make sure everything is dry. I'll run it across anything that I inked up, even the glittery stuff, just to make sure it's all nice and sound. And now we're going to attach the creation to the front of the card. And I just eyeball everything, because that's how I roll. No time for a ruler. Time for the inscription. Pull out my Spooktacular stamp. Gonna ink it up with the same color I used on the pumpkin. It's kind of a slate gray. I pulled it down, and I'm hoping I'm leaving myself enough room to write just above it. And I want to dry it because I don't want to smear it. Testing. Fabulous. Now I've got to clean everything up. Grab the trusty old cleaning rag. And that's when I realized the self-sticky clings are not sticky forever. In my travels of moving from Washington to Ohio and them being in storage for a year, they don't stick very well anymore. So I have to search a way to fix that. Here I'm penciling in the sentiment. And I always do it in pencil. And I use a nice soft lead. Usually a number 2 with a light touch will do. I have a lot of drawing pencils, so I always go for my B's, all the ones that are super soft, because they're just way easier to erase. And I've chosen to write everything out in orange. And at this point, I notice the O is a little too big, and so whoop, shorten it and match the U to go with it. And I've connected the upper H with the lower H just to give something different and unique. To add a little bit more interest, I needed to do something. I started out stippling over what I had done, and it was all right, but it wasn't what I wanted. And then at this point, I start adding in just a thicker line, which was a lot better. And there you have it. Hope you have a spooktacular Halloween. And I want to thank you for watching. And I hope it inspires you to be creative too.